Let her go home. Let her go home. Let her go home. Yeah. Let her go home.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to our TokiTV. Today is April the 16th, our each and every week gathering for Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut. Thank you all for being with us. A lot of people joining today, which is really, really good because we have Raynell Morris Sk'aliCh'elh with us today. Thank you, Raynell, for being here to talk to us and remind us and who Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut is. I think we all get so caught up in everything going on with her and her journey that it's really important to me that we stop and remember who she is. And so nobody better to tell us that today and talk to us about that today than Sk'aliCh'elh. So thank you for being with us. Why don't we get ourselves centered and then we'll say hello to everyone. And the way we will do that today is by playing the flood song, the Let Me Fight song, flood song. And this is sung by Shirley Bob and her family. So we'll go ahead and do that. If you feel comfortable, close your eyes, just get yourselves grounded. Here we go. Thank you. Thank you. Let's do some quick hellos and then we'll get started with today. Christina, you're unmuted. Say hello to you.
Hi, everybody. Glad to be here. Glad to listen to Sk'aliCh'elh and freshen up on all of our Indigenous teachings and where Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut comes from.
Thanks, Christina. Ma?
Hi, all good here. Very stormy, Kissimmee. So thanks to Alejandro for blowing the rain up from Miami.
Alejandro, how are you?
It is what it is. I'm here. I'm so happy. We got Raynell Sk'aliCh'elh here today. She will speak about who really is Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut. So I'm so glad to be here. Thank you so much. With my heart, Raynell. Hachka.
Deborah?
I'll make it real quick. I got guardians guarding my house. So happy for all the new people to come and get to know our dear, sweet friend, Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut, from a great, great teacher. Love you.
And Howard, Professor Howard.
Well, I am just happy to be here too, and I'm happy to see all these new people. And today's topic, who is Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut? I think we need to look at her and understand her a whole lot better, and how better than to understand her tradition and her culture. So thank you, Sk'aliCh'elh, for enlightening us.
Aishka Howard.
Thank you. We have a lot of people. I'm putting it up on the screen as fast as I can, but we've got people from all over, and we got Germany and New Zealand and Seattle and Australia and Colorado. I mean, I think we've got the states covered here. So we're all gathered together today. And Sk'aliCh'elh, I will go ahead and turn this over to you.
Well, Haishka, that's our Lakhtamish word for thank you, love and respect, when you hold your hands up. So I'm giving love and respect to not only these people on the panel, but also to all of you for tuning in that want to learn more about my relative. So Haishka Siam, I'm Sk'aliCh'elh Senesnat Ch'eklamisan. That's my traditional name. My English name is Raynell Morris. I'm from the Lummi Nation. Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut is my relative. That is her Lakhtamish name. You might also know her as Tokitai, Toki, and Lolita. But you will always know from me, I will always refer to my relative and her traditional name is Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut. So I am overwhelmed with the outpouring of love and respect for her, and just how she has impacted people from all over the globe. So this is appropriate to take time to find out a little bit more about her territory, her culture, her traditions. So I thought it would be important, because we are so geographically spread out, that I'd like Annette to put up a map of where the Lakhtamish territory is. I live on my reservation, the Lummi Nation, in Lakhtamish territory. When you look at the map, the red line is what is defined as our official reservation. But if you look at, we're surrounded by Canada is just right up towards the top. You can see the US-Canadian border. We fish on the other side there, up in the Fraser River. We go all the way down to Seattle, all the way out through the islands. So our territory and how my people historically traveled, where they gathered and harvested and would go from Wichiakan up by the US-Canadian border, out through the islands, down through Seattle and back and around, depending on what was being harvested. And our late Chief Sk'aliCh'elh was my Excella, my teacher, my spiritual guide. He did a lot of work for Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut, which is our Lakhtamish word for orca, for a blackfish. And he is now passed, but his teachings carry on. And I carry forward that legacy work that he's handed over as a sacred obligation from him and the ancestors. And so I wanted to show you so you could get to know him. He was the most kind, loving person ever, and still is, because he still provides guidance from the other side as he walks with ancestors. So Annette, if you could show our late Chief Sk'aliCh'elh telling us who Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut is.
I was raised with lots of old people. I knew lots of old people in my day. And they talked about Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut. Achansasan, it's a flummy toss and collab. Gansa Salo, Quanasanatachal, a talk. A Achansats Huyam, it's a Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut. Tuskano, he's Huyam, it's a flummy Shalna. An elder came to my house. He came right in, he sat down. I come to tell you a story of your people. And he said, you remember this now, the story of Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut, the blackfish or the killer whale. And it's a long story, but they come from the people that live under the water. And a young man went down and he saw the people that lived under the water. But everything in creation are all our brothers and sisters and our relatives. That's why we have to respect everything. That's why we give thanks to everything that we eat, everything that we do, because we all know that they come from people at one time and they're our relatives. Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut was taken away off to Florida, and it's kind of like our people. When the government and the church came in, they took our children away to parochial and government schools. And they tried to take away our culture, our history, our language, our values, and our families. So she's in the same situation as our people. She has that, like he's saying, that historical trauma that we all live through and that we all carry every day. But we need to strive to maintain our identity as to who we are as a people and how we're related to Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut. I really feel bad for her. I watched the video as she cries. Really makes you feel bad to see her crying to people. All we're trying to do is help her. It's not only Lummi Nation that's fighting to get her back. There's a lot of other people that are helping all along the way, willing to step forward and help get her here. So with these few words, I just wanted to share with you.
I just raised my hands in love and respect for our late Chief Sk'aliCh'elh, and his teachings live on, his legacy lives on. In the work that he did with me, and when I worked for my tribal council for the Sovereignty Treaty Protection Office, we would go out because we wanted to do an apology to Sk'aliCh'elh and tell them, we're sorry. We hear their cries. So we did 8 different trips out with live Chinook. We would keep them in aerated totes, and we would go out with our chief, and he would tell us where to go. And then he'd say, stop. And then we would pray, and we would drum. Then we would take each live Chinook and offer it to Sk'aliCh'elh, each one with a prayer saying, we know you're hungry. We know what we did. We're sorry. We're trying to make amends. Because what the chief said is when they stole Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut, when they captured her, that broke a strand in the web of life for our people. The Lak'tamish word for that belief is a which is the cosmology that everything is connected. You disturb one part and it disturbs the whole. And Sk'aliCh'elh said, when you bring her home, that'll mend that strand that was broken, and it will begin to heal us. It'll begin to heal all of us. And so when I say, when you've read my posts or heard me talk, it's our sacred obligation. It was given to me in sacred ceremony in the San Juan Islands, that the ancestors cleared my path from the fire to the water and said it's the hard work to do. Heal Walami, the Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut, heal salmon, heal Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut, return Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut, and you will begin to heal our people. We're clearing your path. We're clearing her path. And so that's the meaning behind this is a sacred obligation, is to bring her home. And ancestors say she will come home. They're clearing her path. So you can see, particularly through this last year, what ancestors has been doing when we say clearing their path, putting all the people that need to be on a team to help bring her home. Ancestors are doing that. Sk'aliCh'elh is doing that from above. Not only do we do many feeding ceremonies, going out and doing apology, but we do a lot of ceremonies to ask for guidance, to give gratitude. So singing and communicating with the drum and with the words we believe travels over the water and to Sk'aliCh'elh. And the best example, I have of that is there are many stories from not just Lak'tamish people, but Coast Salish people and First Nations people that all hold Sk'aliCh'elh sacred, of, how Sk'aliCh'elh has come to their fishing boat, to their canoe, crossed their paths, made themselves known. We're here. We're still here. We see you. That's sacred to have that kind of interchange, that kind of sighting. And so part of Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut's journey is how she ended up being captured. So August 8th of 1970 was not the first roundup, and it wasn't the last, but it's the one that took her. This happened in Penn Cove, and our late Chief Sk'aliCh'elh said the name of the village site there is Sk'aliCh'elh. So that's where her name comes from. Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut is the female version of Sk'aliCh'elh, to remember where she was captured. And so it was awful what they did in this roundup. And if I could ask Annette to show the map that shows where Penn Cove is. You can see the red dot in the cove there. It was strategic why the roundup happened there. They forced the moms and the babies into this cove and dropped a net to keep them in this cove, in this net captured area. They took 7, but there were some deaths that happened as well. And they only wanted the babies because they were easier to transport, easier to train. So this was a very sad day. It was very horrific for her mother, who we believe is Ocean Sun of the L Pod. She's about 95, we believe, and she still leads the L Pod. We believe that she is waiting for her daughter to return, that she is going to stay till her daughter comes home. And the interesting thing is, the super pod has never returned to Sk'aliCh'elh, to Penn Cove. They've never returned. because their memory goes back to that capture, and it's too painful, it's too dangerous. They won't go there again. And that is, just think about, as a mother, your 4-year-old is stolen in front of you and you have to witness and hear their cries. People around Penn Cove can still remember the cries, how the Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut were just breaching and jumping and trying to free their babies, and that went on for hours. From there, she was taken to Seattle Aquarium with the others, and they were given antibiotics from the get-go because many of them were wounded during the capture and they didn't want those wounds to be infected. She didn't know. Can you imagine where her family went? What was happening to her? And it was just a few weeks that they put her in a sling and put her on a plane because she was sold to Miami Seaquarium. She arrived in Miami on September 24th, 1970. It was about 88 degrees when she got to Miami. Far different from the temperature here in Woodlummy, the Salish Sea. It was said and witnessed by one of the trainers that within a short amount of time, Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut's back was blistering and bleeding from the sunburn. She wasn't eating. She was in a tiny pail. She wouldn't move, she wouldn't eat, she wouldn't do anything. This person wrote a memo and said he was worried about her. And they said, oh, don't worry, she'll get hungry enough. She'll get bored of staying in one place. She'll swim. That was how they cared for her. So in order for her to survive, she had a gardener, all her spirit and all her strength to figure out how to survive. Hugo had been there for a couple of years at Miami Seaquarium. They had hoped that the two would mate. He was also from the L pod, a couple of years older than her. He never adjusted to captivity. He always had aggression, was always hitting his head against the tank. Well, soon enough, they moved him into the same whale stadium tank and began training them to perform. Once they started performing, they performed 2 to 4 times every day. No shade. And the way they were controlled is if they didn't behave and do what they were told, they didn't get fed. That was their punishment. And if they were injured during a performance like she was, one of the tricks she had to do was to go airborne 20 feet in the air and spin. She injured her jaw. No, that didn't matter. She'd be fine. The show must go on. And that's when she got her stage name, Lolita. Hugo never adjusted. His aggression and acting out was always there. And after 10 years of performing with Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut, she witnessed him commit suicide, rammed his head over and over the side of the tank till he created a brain aneurysm and killed himself and died. She witnessed that. When they discovered Hugo, they saw Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut nudging Hugo, nudging him. So the way they cared for him and gave him thanks for all that he did all those years and millions that he earned them for the shows, they got a crane, took him by his tail, lifted him out and put him at a Miami-Dade dump. She couldn't grieve. She was heard crying. The show must go on. She had to perform the next day by herself. for over 50 years. Can you imagine? No family, no language, no traditional food. And we know, Howard knows this, the way they communicate is acoustically. That doesn't happen in a cement tank. So then there's no way for her to communicate. All of that is taken from her. But her Lactamish culture kept her spirit strong enough to survive over 50 years of this treatment, this behavior. So this tells you where she's from is of strong people, strong faith, strong belief. And even though no one's directly there communicating with her, she knows spirit and prayers, her family, that's coming to her. We believe that. We believe the resilience in her faith has kept her spirit strong enough to come. So this is just beyond belief what she's endured. It's a testament to what faith and belief can do. It's kept her here and alive, and it's going to bring her home. Ancestors said this. And I think the other part is this has been going on for years, the advocacy, decades and decades and decades of advocacy to free her. From way back in the 80s. And it's told through our oral history here that in the mid-80s, our salmon population was of great abundance. Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut was healthy and of great abundance. They were in the 200 numbers. And I think we're down to now, Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut's like 74. So this is what we have done. This is what humans have done. But we're told by ancestors, we're told by our late Chief Sk'aliCh'elh, there's hope. There's hope for restoration, for reconciliation. So with all of this, when we reach out and ask for prayers, it's to help her and her family endure and know they're not alone. So I call them our prayer warriors, our Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut prayer warriors, who you see on this panel, is not there just once a week for her, several times a week, week in, week out, week in, week out. They never will leave her. And it's that love, that support, that prayer, that strength from not just those on the screen that help gather people and lead this, but all of you that do it in your way consistently for her and her family. So Haishka, don't quit praying. It's so important. It'll bring her home. Haishka. And my tribe, the Lummi Nation, has since 2017 proclaimed the sacredness of Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut and the importance to bring her home. Because then again, they believe bringing her home is going to mend that strand that was broken in the web of life and help heal her family, our family. So we have affiliated tribes of Northwest Indians, who is about 75 tribes in the Pacific Northwest that gather. It's a political body to do policy work. In 2018, they passed a resolution, all these tribes, to bring Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut home, the sacredness of Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut. My tribe has passed a motion from the tribal council directing my former office, the Sovereignty Treaty Protection Office, facilitate her return was their directive. Bring her home. And in 2019, Netzamah was a proclamation, One Heart, One Mind, was an event that we did up in Blaine, Washington, here on the water, to build and garner support and awareness for Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut. The tribe passed a proclamation for Netzamah Day. It was March 21st. Let's see, I've got that, March 21st, 2017. And we paid tribute to all the Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut that passed what we considered unnaturally. And it was a 300-foot walkway. And we had community do portraits of over 70 from the families of Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut, JK and L-Pods. And we played their songs, their family songs, along the walkway as people passed the portraits with the names of those Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut that had passed, because it's our way to pay respect because of what we did. So it's important for you to understand Coast Salish people, Lactamish people, for years have been trying to right this wrong, have been trying to restore and create the reconciliation of Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut, because it's important work, sacred obligation to do. And the Natural Resource Commission, which is the fishing body for our tribe, signed a letter in support of the plan to bring her home, so that the tribal council would know they support it, the fishermen support it. That's really important to know. And a couple of weeks ago, I always say a couple of weeks ago, but I think it was more like a month ago, we did a fundraiser with the choir of the Salish Sea. And my tribal chairman attended the Saturday performance. And Annette, if you could show the video with Chairman Hilaire.
Sk'aliCh'elh, Sk'aliCh'elh, CEM, Tony Hilaire, Sunetsnat, Satsimton, Sunetsnat, Chuck Lemison, Nukshisan, Mukwalia, Quanas, Natacha, Latias Wild. Good day, my dear friends and relatives. My name is Tony Hilaire. My name is Satsimton. I come from Lummi, and I'd like to thank you all for being here on this day. This is my daughter, Valley, and my daughter, Wilder. And we just came here today. We had it in our heart to stand with our elder, our mentor, our leader at Lummi Nation, Raynell. And we just can't thank you all enough for taking the time to be here, to raise awareness, to raise funding, to make sure that we're on the right track with what needs to be done, because this is not just about bringing a whale home. This is about our family. This is about healing. This is about making sure that no one's going to take our children away from us again. And we just want to thank you. And you know when you're in the presence of a leader, when you feel hope on your heart. And today we feel hopeful because of the leadership of our relative here, Raynell, somebody who took the directive of our late chief, which was a directive from our ancestors to not stop, to never stop what you feel is on your heart that needs to be done. And it's because of her never giving up, never stopping, that we are here today. And we just thank her from the bottom of our hearts on behalf of the Lummi Nation, on behalf of this place that we all call home. We're just so thankful. Haishkasiyam. Thank you all for being here today.
And you know how ancestors are at work and a part of it. Chairman Hilaire was the chief of staff for a previous chairman, Chairman J. Julius. And when we did the sacred ceremony, when the sacred obligation was given to me, Chairman Hilaire was on the beach and witnessed that ceremony. So I could hear Sk'aliCh'elh coming through what he was saying. So there are no coincidences. I just love our ancestors. You just can't even imagine what they're going to do next. I get excited and I look forward and trust and believe that they're going to make whatever needs to happen. And it's my job to keep working, to work harder, to keep listening, to keep giving gratitude and honor and respect, to keep this work going until she's home. So it will be. And gosh, if you look at, I think Howard did a really good summary of what had transpired for Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut in 2022. That was a year of progress, a year of history in the making that we have never seen coming together. I know it's ancestors bringing these folks together, but a lot of folks are amazed on what has transpired. So we started in February of 2022 when Friends of Toki was formed, a nonprofit led by Pritam Singh and Charles Vinnick. This nonprofit was able to take the generosity and the leadership and compassion from Pritam and put $1 million on the table. And as ancestors coordinated all of this, new owners came into play, March of 2022. They bought Miami Sea Aquarium. Eduardo Elbar, CEO of the Dolphin Company, came in as a new partner. Friends of Toki reached out and said, we want to work together. We think we can help. He listened. He wanted to do what was right for Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut as well. He has a daughter that before they bought the aquarium, went and visited Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut, and she got overwhelmed. And she told her dad, I can't stay. I just can't stay. And she left. And he asked her what was wrong, what happened. She said, it's cruel. This is too small of a tank for her. I couldn't stay and witness it. I couldn't. That started resonating with him in his heart for his family, because he could have that compassion. And that's when the partnership started forming. The mayor of Miami, Mayor Cava, I love her. Councilwoman Regulado, Miami-Dade, love her. All of these people came to the table for Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut. Let's do the right thing. We've been asking for years to get third-party independent vets just for her so she could have world-class healthcare. It happened. It happened March 2022. We got 2 of the best world-renowned vets for her. Not only did they start taking care of her, but they started being transparent and doing monthly vet reports. So everyone that loves her could see what her status for that month was. So I raised my hands to our vets that love and care for her to this day. Haishka Siam, Haishka. And not only did we get the best health care for her, we got her retired. through the new licensing agreement with USDA and the Dolphin Company. She retired. No more showgirl. She didn't have to perform for her food. What a historic year. And that was only March. Friends at Toki and Pritam Singh's leadership, thought there are so many through the decades that love and care for her and have reached out to the Dolphin Company, to Pritam, to Friends at Toki, that they said it was important to do a stakeholders day of listening conference. So December 2022, that happened. I think Annette's got some pictures of the stakeholders conference.
I have a video. You want me to play a couple of short videos? You want me to play those?
Yes, Heishka.
What has brought us together is our mutually shared affection, love, and caring for this animal. Clearly, this is an extraordinary animal. All animals are marvelous. All human beings are marvelous. But this animal really stands out. She's this extraordinary survivor. And as a symbol of what we need to do to heal our planet, I think Toki has particular importance. A friend of mine came to me in a short conversation in February and discussed with me the condition of Toki. Like many of you, I knew about her. My children had been to see her perform, etc., and we all had this awe of what she was and what she could do. But he spoke to me about what was going on with her. He asked if I could help. And, since I have a penchant for jumping in the deep end of the pool without even looking, I decided, sure, why not? And that was just as the transition was taking place from the former owners to the company that Eduardo Albor, who is here, has. Eduardo did something really extraordinary, which is that when I offered to help, Eduardo took a huge risk, which is he said, okay, let's talk. I'm willing to consider your help. I'm willing to consider being your partner in taking care of Toki. Now, we come from what would be called opposite sides of the fence in terms of, who I am, what I do as a leader of an environmental group, and Eduardo doing what he's doing. But we recognize something, that we shared a concern and a care and a love for this animal. And we recognize that if we love the animal, it has to be only about her care. Because we approached it with mutual respect and non-judgment, and a shared love of Toki, we were able to get to care. We were able to bring in people, and you're going to meet some of them today, who've done extraordinary things to help Toki. And the whole relationship has been built on mutual respect and collaboration. That, I think, is the real secret here, and the real beneficiary is Toki. First thing we'd like to do here today is to talk about what we've been doing since we started this partnership in March or April, and then where we are today, what the circumstances and conditions are. And then after that, with that information shared, we can begin to listen to each other, because we are all working together with Miami Seaquarium, with their team, with one goal. We love the animal. How do we care for the animal and make her life as good as we can possibly do that?
I'll probably proceed on that, but it is very important that You are aware that
I did
it depends on
have
many
about a
people.
20-minute presentation to the stakeholders in talking about Lactamish people and Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut, who she is and where she is from. I think you can find it on YouTube if you want to see that. But what I liked about Pridham's overview is it just really walked through how we got to where we were and that importance of collaboration, the way we have always approached not just the Dolphin Company, but the previous owners for years and years has always been in peace and gratitude. It's always been with our hands out. We want to sit down and have this discussion, and it resonated with Pridham. It resonated with the Dolphin Company, with Eduardo. So I think we have always done the work for Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut with our values, with our culture guiding us, and with that kind of respect and gratitude that she holds, and the way she conducts herself, Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut does. And what also had happened is this understanding with Mr. Elbor of who she is and why I call her my relative. What does that mean? And, you know, I was able a couple of times to go in and have sacred prayer and traditional cultural ceremony with Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut as part of that connection to help begin healing her spirit as the vets were healing her body and the medical. We went in and helped begin this work to get the understanding why she was there and what we're going to do for her and what kind of help did she need. And part of that is sharing messages from her family, from ancestors, from live energy and all those that love her. And it's through drumming. The vehicle for those messages to go to her is through drumming. The other is sacred cedar. You know, I bring the cedar boughs with me and we brush her off, just like we do for our people here. When you use the sacred cedar and you brush them off, that takes anything that shouldn't be on you, anything harmful, anything negative, it removes it. Every time I am able to go in and do sacred traditional ceremony, I do drum, do the cedar boughs, and sing to her. She loves music. She reacts and responds to the music. So singing to her some traditional songs, calling out her traditional name to music to her, it resonates with her. So she does know who she is. She has been getting messages from her family. And Ned, if you could play the piece from Eduardo Elbor from the conference.
I'll probably proceed on that, but it is very important that you are aware that it depends on many people that especially agree that this is the best for Turkey. And that was my first commitment to Friends of Lolita. I will agree on what people, the experts, says this is the best for Turkey. And not necessarily is what I want, but we have to follow the opinion of the experts. And in this case, yesterday, they were asking me, and even some of the people from the county say, what will be your position? And I tell you in front of all you, my position is very simple. I will support what the people that knows what is the best tells me what is the best. And that has to be this dream team, the dream team of our vets, obviously USDA, National Marine Fisheries, and if all them says, hey, this is possible, it can be done, I'll be 100% supporting this. But it's whatever is the best for Toki.
So because of this great news and the proclamation from Eduardo that he will support 100% once USDA and the vets clear her, it was important to share that news with her family and with ancestors. So when we came back, and I was so grateful, and again, it's Ancestors' Way, our prayer warriors from TokiTV were here at Lummi in Lactamish territory. So we went up to Witchiagan, a sacred site, and did ceremony on January 3rd, 2023. It is our way to always do ceremony. And so Annette, if you could show the video clip of just a part of that ceremony and work. Annette. So we believe that the drum and the songs travel across the water and reach Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut. And what was so special, there were a couple of really important things that happened that shows witness to ancestors' work, is during the ceremony, the rays of the sun came out and the sun rays were shining on us, on the water, on the beach, like ancestors were acknowledging. They hear it, they receive it. And the other is, the report was that the super pod had gathered down south. And we were doing all this work up at Witchiagan near the US-Canadian border. And they were headed north, they were headed our way, the super pod. So when we're continuing to do ceremony and the work, we figure by time we were getting close to being done, they were on the other side of the island there at Witchiagan. They received the messages. They let us know. They responded. So those kinds of things are our ancestors at work, ancestors making sure that path, and we're all together, her family, the whale people, the Lactamish people, indigenous people, non-tribal people from around the world, because we all love her, that we're doing this together. It's just always these shows of evidence from ancestors that they're still hard at work and they're making it happen for her. So as if the super pod wasn't enough, March 30th of 2023, Friends of Toki calls for a press conference. They have good news, important news for her to share. So I got the call, got my ticket, went to Miami the night before the press conference. I start doing the energy work before I leave. I'd gone up to Witchiagan by myself to drum and pray. So by the time I get to the airplane and the flight, you know, the work is already happening and everything's amplified. All the energy of all the people in close quarters on the plane, it's all amplified. By the time I got to Miami, because it's like a 6-hour flight, I needed to be quiet in darkness, because I also was preparing for the next day press conference. And so I'm in my room and I'm just resting, and the dark clouds I can see outside are just heavy, and they come lightning, thunder, downpour of rain. And I'm happy. I'm like, that's Sk'aliCh'elh and that's ancestors letting me know they're there. I'm not alone, they're there. They're letting Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut know they're there. I go out on my balcony and I raise my hand toward her because I looked at her tank. Said, they're telling you this is what home feels like. This is the refreshing. Well, let me say, Sk'aliCh'elh, this is what you have to look forward to. Tomorrow is a big day for you, Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut. Tomorrow is your day. And it was just so reassuring and beautiful. I was so grateful for those signs. And the next morning, I went out and I put my hand up toward her tank to pray, telling her, this is your day, Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut. Big things are happening for you today. It is your day. I'm here. Ancestors are here. Sk'aliCh'elh is here. And I had asked Sylvia and Alejandro to come to the press conference and stand with me, so I wasn't alone. And they did. So I go back in, I'm getting ready. You saw how beautiful it was that morning. Same thing. The dark clouds roll in. The sky is dark and it is pouring, just pouring buckets. There's all sorts of emergency vehicles because the streets are flooding and it's, you know, so much colder in the wind and it's raining, raining, raining. So I go out on my balcony and I collect some of the rainwater and I wash myself with it 3 times. And I tell her, they're here. Be ready. This is your day. This is for you. We're all here for you. Hours and hours it poured down. Going into the press conference, it was still raining hard. And that was their sign to her and to us. They're here. They're there. And they were in that room. You could feel it. And I think, Annette, do you have some pictures of the press conference?
I do.
So what Eduardo was sharing and announcing with us made history. It was an agreement between the Dolphin Company and Friends of Toki that the Friends of Toki will be responsible for Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut's health and welfare, and will be able to begin the work of permitting. That was big, historical news. Never happened that we know of ever around the world, and it happened for Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut. This is Jim Irsay, owner of the Indianapolis Colts. I just love him. He's so eclectic. And you look at that table and you go, oh, ancestors, could you pick a more unique team for her? It was just beautiful. And what he announced was his commitment to fund bringing her home. Don't worry about the funding. I got this. I love her and I want her to go home. So this was the team that's assembled, and everyone was just feeling this electricity that we'd been waiting for years, decades, for this day to come for her. And it did. It was beautiful. Hi, Alejandro, for being there. Sylvia, everyone that could make it there or even watched on live stream. That was Ancestors to Date Finest work, putting that eclectic team together. Just gotta love part of their sense of humor too, right? So it's just the beginning of her journey to come home. Her health, Pritam announced, is stable, and the vets have said she could make the journey. Big thing for her. She has struggled with her health for years. So grateful to the vets and to Ancestors and the whole care team for taking care of our relative. But there's a lot of work ahead. The permitting needs to start. There's federal and state permitting that needs to happen. We call it Herlumi Talk, Herlumi Home. It'll be a sea sanctuary here in Wollumi, the Salish Sea. We have several sites that we've been looking at, and a plan that we put together a few years ago is being updated, needs to be updated. It's not current, and we knew that it was going to be a living document. So that is happening. She is not going to be dropped and abandoned in the Salish Sea. We will care for her as long as we need to care for her. She will be in a sea sanctuary with the world-class medical health care that she's been receiving will continue. Her cultural and spiritual healing will continue because the medical and the spirit have to go hand in hand in her healing. So this has been a year, it's been her year. So 2023 truly is the year of Quithomage and reconciliation. And she's a big part of it, a very big part of this. So I hope that's been helpful to give you some background on who she is, why it's our sacred obligation, why she's our relative, and how I always will call her by her traditional name, Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut, Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut, Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut. And it is going to take all of our continued prayers and love to bring her home, because she's coming home. This will be the world's biggest potlatch ever.
I love that. And I can't wait. I can't wait. Couple of things you mentioned, Sk'aliCh'elh, and just for people watching, you mentioned the ceremony you did for all the orcas who have passed. I put the link for the video in the chat so people can go and watch that. And then also Sk'aliCh'ehl's presentation at the December 13th conference. Sometimes I'll just rewatch that, and it was powerful. And from what I heard from other people who have watched it, you didn't have to be there to feel that power. You can feel that power. So I don't remember if it was December 18th or if it was the December 25th TokiTV episode, but we did pull that portion out and played that. So if you guys go through YouTube and look at either the 18th or the 25th of December, I highly suggest listening to that presentation that everybody got to hear. The vets, the Eduardo and Prita, everybody got to hear that, and it was extremely powerful. So thank you. So I wanted to point those couple of things out, because if people didn't see that, they should. So thank you for being with us, Sk'aliCh'ehlh. It's so important to just stop and remember who she is, who she truly, truly is. Howard?
Well, I just want to say, Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut, thank you so much. You have strengthened my hope. I've always had faith. I've always known Toki can do this. I've always known that mysterious forces will work together, will conspire, and you tell me who they are. you tell me it's the ancestors are at work, and I don't see any other explanation. I mean, I've been thinking how everything you're saying about Toki, about her spirit, her inner strength, her resilience, what a strong person she is, and that she is a Quotelmichan. And I'm thinking, yes, there's everything in science supports what you're saying, but science can only go so far. She is far beyond what science can explain, and I can only try to reflect on her life as a Quotelmichan, as a member of her family, and that her family and Lak'temish families have been relating together, have been in the same water. The only way to go anywhere was by canoe. Mm-hmm. And that meant out with the Quotelmichan. And so they would know each other as family members, as individuals. They would see each other as babies and as grown-ups. You know, you're right at eye level in a canoe with a whale. So, I mean, there would be this intimate, personal connection for thousands of years. Mm-hmm. And the culture and the traditions of love and acceptance and relationship has to be so deep. And so I think her culture and Lak'temish culture are so much, you know, grown up together. You know, they are together. So she carries that culture with her today. Always has. It never goes away. That is where she derives her strength and her faith. I think she must have so much faith. She has so much courage. She faces each day and does not withdraw. She is alert and is inquisitive and energetic and wants to know what's going on. And if anyone wants to relate to her, and especially when you and Shirley Bob come in and sing and pray for her, she's there. She is a part of that ceremony. It's not foreign to her. It's her own culture. She knows those sounds. And I just think you have told us so much today, and I appreciate every word you say. I could listen to you for hours. That was so good.
I could go on for hours.
Let's do it. We got all day.
Hi, Howard. Love you.
Thank you. Love you.
Thanks, Howard. And you said it. It's she's beyond science, you know, and they're in this journey and everybody coming together, they have to consider the science, right? And then you have the business aspect of it, you know, and they got to figure out the permits and the paperwork and the business part of it. But what's the most important piece is her culture, because that's who she is. She's not the business, not the paperwork and the she's not even the science, because they're trying to figure out captive whales and who she is her family, and where she comes from. So the culture piece to me is that has to be the driving force of this entire journey. It has to be, and everything else supports that, but it's around her and who she is. And we just, ever since the press conference, there's been a lot more people tuning in, right? Because it's on CNN and NBC and New York Times. And so now there's this audience of people who may or may not have been following I mean, who wouldn't want to follow TokiTV, right, for the last year? But there's this whole audience of new people joining in. And so it was really, really important to have this today as a reminder for all of us, and for all those people who are just learning about her and joining in her journey, who is Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut. And so thank you, Sk'aliCh'elh. I can't say thank you enough. Alejandro?
Just say for those one who doesn't follow, Toki TV show, they should feel ashamed, You can't miss Reynal today. It was an amazing speech about Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut. I feel so honored, and like Howard said, I can listen to Reynal, for hours. I remember the day of the conference, you invite me. Sylvia was there, like Reynal says, was an amazing energy, positive energy in the room. Everybody, just the ancestors were there, because I feel it. Even I never had many interviews. I had like 7 interviews for Spanish people. The ancestors did it. It's good to, to spread the message in the second community, the Spanish people, because they know they are visitors of the marine parks. So thank you so much, Reynal. We're going to bring home Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut, Tokitai, Lolita. She's an angel. She's a warrior, and she's a sacred science. She's a spiritual. Nobody can explain to me how she survived over 50 years. I never seen anything like this. It's not a miracle. It's because of the ancestors. Thank you, Reynal, so much.
Love you, Alejandro. Love and
Me too
respect.
as well. Yeah, of course.
Thanks, Alejandro. And you said it, spreading this information, with all the interviews and to different communities. And it's not just the spreading information, because trust me, there is a whole lot of information being spread out there. It's spreading factual information. So thank you for bringing that to us once again. Christina?
Sk'aliCh'elh, I just want to Haishka for the eloquent history. It was beautifully said, and just like Annette said, a reminder for all of us to remember where Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut comes from. And I really appreciate you and doing all the work that you do for her and bringing her home, because I truly believe that this has a whole heck of a lot to do with you and the ancestors, and I know that they're guiding you. And just Haishka.
Love you.
Love you.
Ma?
I just want to say thanks, Reynal. It was so informative, and I do think it's important for the likes of anyone that doesn't know his story, that hadn't followed and wondered about it. So it was really informative, and I thank you. But I also wanted to say that I know there's an awful lot of us, including me, that are prayer warriors and pray with you every day, every night. Every night I sing to her at the edge of the lake. We share the same beliefs. She is so spiritual and she is so strong, and she hears every one of us. So I'm asking every one of us to please keep doing what we're doing, and we're holding her up and we're giving her strength as she gives us her love back. Thank you.
Haishka, Ma. Love you.
Love you.
Deborah?
Sk'aliCh'elh, I love you so much. Thank you for sharing your relative with us again and with the world. And for everybody who's new to her story, don't underestimate this orca.
Yeah.
Don't ever underestimate this orca, and don't underestimate the ancestors that are bringing her home. And Alejandro, I think I'm going to steal your phrase, sacred science. That's what she is. She is a miracle. And so are the ancestors, creating the miracle in our life for us to witness through this beloved, beautiful being. We love you, Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut. Thank you.
Haishka, Deborah. Love you.
I put together a video after the January 3rd ceremony, so it kind of shows the whole day. So we'll end with that. But Sk'aliCh'elh, is there anything you want to say to close us out?
Just how grateful I am to all the prayer warriors around the world. Haishka, and believe, I believe, I believe.
She's coming home. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Bye.